SLT පාරිභෝගිකයෙකු නම් ඔබේ හිතවතෙකුට SLT නව සබඳතාවයක් 50%ක වටනමක් සහිතව ලබා දී ඔබේ බිල්පතට රුපියල් 6000ක් දක්වා වටනමක් හිමි කරගන්න.
Tonight, one-stop shop. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa proposes amalgamation of public identification, travel licensing and personal documentation departments under single entity. Swiss reprieve. Ghania Francis granted conditional bail after court rules risk of asylum at Swiss embassy not grounds for further detention. Health issues. Former Minister Rajitha Senaratne granted bail but slapped with travel ban amidst deteriorating health. Opposition to privileges. UNP MP says that TNA leaders' privileges currently being enjoyed granted by previous regime due to national need and reconciliation. All this and much more coming up on this Monday, the 30th of December 2019.
මේ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න. ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත්වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening. This is First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando. Moving on to your top story tonight. Following pledges to create a more efficient public service, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa met with officials of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology this morning to discuss a proposal to amalgamate all personal identification, licenses and personal documentation under a single entity. The President pointed out that this measure could help the public save time, energy and money and also prevent the circulation of false documentation. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa held a meeting this morning with officials of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology at the President's office. The President proposed the amalgamation of travel, identification and other important personal documentation services under one database. Based on this proposal, national identity cards, driving licenses, passports, birth and death registration certificates will be accessible through this. The President added that proposals such as this could provide a better and more efficient service to the public, avoiding unnecessary delays. The amalgamation of this information could also help to reduce excess expenditure and, most importantly, prevent the circulation of false documentation. Meanwhile, the former Batticaloa District Secretary and Director General of Customs PSM Charles was appointed as the Governor of Northern Province. Her letter of appointment was presented by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's office this afternoon.
ජෙල් සීන් ඇක්ෂන්. ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත්වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Ghania Barrister Francis, the local Swiss embassy employee embroiled in the alleged abduction and intimidation saga, has been granted bail by the Colombo Magistrates Court today. Francis was named a suspect and remanded earlier this month following an investigation into her alleged claims that the Criminal Investigation Department concluded to be false following perusal of all related evidence. The Swiss embassy abduction and intimidation saga saw public opinion divided on the issue following the arrest and remanding of the suspect, Ghania Barrister Francis, till today. Francis was named a suspect by the Attorney General's Department on charges of exciting disaffection towards the government and fabricating false evidence to be used in a future judicial proceeding. Also present at the hearing today were officials from the Swiss Embassy in Colombo, including the Deputy Ambassador and Political Secretary, among others. Representing the Criminal Investigations Department, Senior State Counsel Janaka Bandara requested court to order CCTV footage from 15 surveillance cameras to be sent to the government analyst for a report. Additionally, the Attorney General's Department also requested that the phone belonging to the suspect's spouse also be sent to the government analyst for a relevant report. In order to this effect was delivered by the Colombo Chief Magistrate subsequently. Senior State Counsel Janaka Bandara also revealed in court that the SIM card used in the suspect's phone, referred to in her complaint, was a personal mobile connection registered in her husband's name and not an official mobile phone provided by the Swiss embassy. In this backdrop, the counsel requested court to deliver an order for the phone, which still remains in the custody of the Swiss ambassador, to be handed over to the Criminal Investigations Department to aid in its investigations. Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratne then inquired from the suspect whether the phone was handed over to the Swiss ambassador in an official capacity or for personal safekeeping. Following the suspect's response that it was done so for safekeeping, the magistrate informed the CID that in this backdrop, a court order would be unnecessary since given this fact the phone in question can be recovered from the ambassador on a request by the suspect. Counsel Janaka Bandara presented facts objecting to the granting of bail to the suspect and revealed that the suspect's mother and 3 children had left for Switzerland just 2 days prior. In this backdrop, the counsel highlighted the fact that the suspect could seek shelter in the ambassador's residence as before, and that would complicate the investigative process if she was subsequently granted political asylum or refugee status. He further added that given the fact that the suspect's bail application was based on the need to nurse her 1.5-year-old child, the revelation that the same child was now in Switzerland nullifies the defense counsel's application. Responding to this fact, defense counsel Uppul Kumara Perumal rejected this fact and claimed that the suspect's children and mother had instead left for Singapore for a 2-week period and would be returning in time for the next school term. After being queried regarding the source of the information of the suspect's family having flown to Switzerland, State Counsel Bandara revealed that the information had been provided by the chief officer at the Criminal Investigation Department desk at the Bandaranaike International Airport. However, the information was not officially verified. The magistrate cautioned the Criminal Investigation Department on producing unverified information to courts in this regard. Following the verification of the suspect's permanent address, Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratne informed the Criminal Investigations Department that sufficient time had been granted for investigations to be carried out and that no facts had been presented that would object to the suspect being granted bail. The magistrate added that suspicions that the suspect could seek refuge at the Swiss ambassador's residence was insufficient grounds to extend the suspect's detention. Following this, the magistrate ordered the suspect to be released on bail subject to strict conditions, which include the surrendering of her passport and prohibiting the suspect from applying for an alternative travel document without prior court consent. Additionally, the suspect was ordered to produce a certificate of residency from the relevant Grama Niladhari and to inform court if any changes to her place of residence occur. The suspect was also warned that the bail order could be revoked if evidence of her obstructing investigations is proven in court by investigators. The case is to be heard next on the 9th of January. Former Minister Rajitha Senaratne, who was remanded in connection with an ongoing investigation into white van claims made by him at a press conference in the lead-up to the presidential election, was released on bail by the Colombo Magistrates Court today. MP Senaratne was granted bail on 2 personal sureties of 500,000 rupees and was also slapped with an overseas travel ban. The MP, however, is yet to be discharged from a private hospital in Narayanpeta, where he was being treated for trauma and hypertension following an arrest warrant being issued. Meanwhile, the court also ordered an overseas travel ban on the former president of the State Pharmaceutical Corporation, Dr. Rumi Mohammed, who allegedly sponsored the white van media briefing. Former Minister Rajitha Senaratne admitted himself to a private hospital in Colombo at a time when the Colombo Magistrates Court issued an arrest warrant against him in connection to an ongoing probe pertaining to a media briefing he convened where claims regarding white vans were made. The MP was, however, arrested by the CID while receiving treatment on the 27th. Colombo Additional Magistrate Shalini Pereira examined the former minister and ordered him to be remanded until today. The former minister was then treated at the private hospital under full custody of prison officials. Prison officials visited the hospital this morning to obtain a medical report on MP Senaratne. UNP parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa was among the visitors today. The former minister, who was placed under the custody of prison department officials, was to be produced before the Colombo Magistrate Court today. When he was summoned this morning, however, prison officials informed the court that medical reports suggest that he was not in a stable condition to be produced in court. Meanwhile, Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Piris informed court that doctors at the private hospital had not allowed a statement to be recorded from the former minister, who is currently under treatment. Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Piris added that the prison medical officer who examined the MP yesterday made no such revelation about a critical health condition, while highlighting that the doctors at the private hospital are trying to impede the judicial process. The Attorney General's department requested court to summon the medical records of the MP from the private hospital and to report to the judicial medical officer to learn what treatment he underwent over the past 3 days. Appearing on behalf of MP Senaratne, President's Counsel Navaratna Bandara stated that a group of prison guards who arrived at the hospital had frightened its doctors and attempted to take away the MP. The President's Counsel informed court that his client has no confidence in government hospitals and that he should be kept under supervision of Dr. Mubarak of the hospital's cardiology unit. Attorney at Law Bandara pointed out that allegations levelled against the MP with regard to the investigation have no basis, while highlighting that no presidential candidate complained of any hindrance due to the media briefing. He further requested the court to consider all facts and grant bail to his client. The Colombo Chief Magistrate noted that if the investigators are of the view that the drivers who are named as first and second suspects have fabricated facts, they are no longer capable of continuing under original charges, including murder and robbery. The magistrate stated that the CID did not mention this until the court inquired into the matter, highlighting it is a deliberate act to keep facts in mind without informing the court. The magistrate noted that therefore the procedure of naming Rajitha Senaratne as suspect is flawed. The magistrate added that no evidence has been presented to prove that he attempted to avoid court, given that the suspect had filed an anticipatory bail application. The magistrate ordered that the release of the ex-minister on bail may not cause a public outcry, considering the fact that he is not being prosecuted by any other court, and given that the presidential candidate alleged to have been victimized emerged victorious. Accordingly, MP Senaratne was granted bail on 2 personal sureties of 500,000 rupees, while his passport was ordered to be handed over to the court, banning overseas travel. Upon the magistrate's order, MP Senaratne signed his bail at the hospital in the presence of the registrar. Meanwhile, State Minister of Power and Energy Rohitha Abegunawardena says that the conduct of former Minister Rajitha Senaratne since the issuing of a warrant for his arrest could set a dangerous precedent for criminals. His remarks came during a media briefing held today.
රාජිත සේනරත්න මැතිතුමාත් රෝහල් ගත වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපි දන්නේ අසනීපයක්ද බොරු අසනීපයක්ද කියලා රෝහලේ ඉන්නවා. මහජනයන් කියන්නේ බොරුවට ලෙඩ වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියලා. ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉන්නකොට රාජිත හැමතුමලා ඔහොම නෙමෙයි හිටියේ. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාට ජම්පරේ අඳන්න හෙට අහවලා රිමාන්ඩ් කරනවා.
බරපතල ගණේ අපරාධකරුවන්ට තියෙන එකම ස්ථානය තමයි පෞද්ගලික රෝහලකට යනවා. මුබාරක්ලා වගේ දොස්තර මහත්තයෙකුට පෙන්නනවා. පෙන්නලා කියනවා මොහුට බරපතල වශයෙන් හෘදයාබාධයකින් පෙළෙනවා. අරට කොච්චර හොඳට හිරේ ඉන්නවද කිය. ජනාධිපතිතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා. අපි අගමැතිතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා. නීතිය මේ විදියට යන්න ගියොත් පෙරටේ ඔක්කොම අපරාධකාරයෝ ටික ගිහිල්ලා හැම රෝහලකම නවති. හැබැයි අප ලැබෙනකොටම අපව පයින් ඇවිදගෙන යයි. මේගොල්ලෝ දේශපාලන නිවටේ යහපාලන ආණ්ඩුවෙන් බැටකාපු අපි නඩු පිට නඩු අපිව ගෙන්නලා දසවද දුන්නත් අපි හැංගුණා. ඇයි මේ බය වෙන්නේ? බය නැත්තම් යන්න තිබුණානේ අධිකරණයේ ඉස්සරහා පිටට.
Meanwhile, the Centre for Public Accountability has requested the Minister of Health, Pavitra Vaniyarachi, to inquire into any violation of medical ethics by the doctor who consulted former Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
Now, meanwhile, representatives of the Government Medical Officers Association arrived at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today to record statements regarding alleged irregularities that took place during MP Rajitha Senaratne's tenure as the Minister of Health. Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Haritha Aludge, revealed that a further statement is to be recorded regarding the former minister making false statements with regard to the discrepancies when questioned during a television appearance. The Government Medical Officers Association was requested to record a statement at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption with regards to alleged irregularities that occurred in medicine purchases during the tenure of MP Rajitha Senaratne as the Minister of Health. Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association Dr. Haritha Aludge, speaking to media, stated that the association will also be recording a statement referring to statements made by the former health minister during a live television talk show appearance where he was questioned on the irregularities.
දවසේ රජ වෛද්‍යාරික සංගමයේ විදිහට අපි අල්ලස් දූෂණ කමිෂන් විමර්ශන කමිෂන් සභාවට කැඳවලා තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම පහුගිය කාලය තුල රාජසේනරත්න සහ ඔහුගේ හිතවතුන් අමාත්‍යාංශය තුල ගෙන ගිය ඉතාම බරපතල විශේෂයෙන්ම ඖෂධ මිලදී ගැනීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් වෙච්ච අක්‍රමිකතා සම්බන්ධයෙන් ප්‍රකාශයක් ලබා දෙන්න. රාජසේනරත්න අපි දැක්කා දෙරණ 360 වැඩසටහනට ඇවිල්ලා කරපු වැඩසටහනේදී ඉතාම නරක විදිහට බොරු කියනවා රටට. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අල්ලස් කමිෂන් සභාවේ අපි අවධානය යොමු කළා. ඒ කාරණා සම්බන්ධයෙන් අද දවසේ විස්තරාත්මක ප්‍රකාශයක් ලබා දෙන්න නියමිතයි. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම විගණකාධිපති වාර්තා පදනම් කරගෙන ජාතික සම්පාදන කමිෂන් සභාවේ වාර්තා පදනම් කරගෙන ඒ වගේම අමාත්‍යාංශයේ අභ්‍යන්තර විගණන වාර්තා පදනම් කරගෙන ජනාධිපති කමිෂන් සභාවේ වාර්තා පදනම් කරගෙන රාජසේනාරත්න විරුද්ධව ඇත්ත ලෙසට නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වේ කියන කාරණය අපි බොහොම විමසිල්ලෙන් රජ වෛද්‍යාරික සංඝ විදිහට අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. සමහර മന്ത്രിවරු ගිහිල්ලා රාජසේනාරත්න බලලා එනවා. සමහර හාමුදුරුවෝ අපි දකිනවා රාජසේනාරත්න පිරිත් නූල් බඳින්න යනවා. එතකොට අපි මේ විශේෂයෙන්ම රජ වෛද්‍යාරික සංඝ විදිහට අහන්නේ මේ හාමුදුරුවරු විශේෂ රාජසේනාරත්න මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ ජීවිතවලට විනාශයක් කරනකොට මේ හාමුදුරුවෝ කොහෙද හිටියේ? මේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලා අද පිරිත් නූල් බඳින්න යනවා. නමුත් එදා දවසේ හඬක් නැගුවද? මේක ඉතාම බරපතල කාරණයක්. ඒ වගේම සමහර മന്ത്രിවරු එළියට ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා ඖෂධ මාෆියාවෙන් රාජසේනාරත්නට ජීවිත තර්ජන තියෙනවා කියලා. මේක ඉතාම විහිළු සහගත තත්ත්වයක්. මොකද අපි දන්න විදිහට ඖෂධ මාෆියාවත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කළේ රාජසේනාරත්න. ඖෂධ මාෆියාවට ඕන විදිහට රටේ සෞඛ්‍ය හැසිරුවේ රාජසේනාරත්න.
In a press conference held today, parliamentarian Palitha Range Bandara stated that the former opposition leader R. Sambandhan was still entitled to the privileges based on furthering national reconciliation. Former Minister Palitha Range Bandara was questioned by reporters today based on a newspaper publication that highlighted the fact that leader of the Tamil National Alliance R. Sambandhan was still enjoying privileges granted during the tenure of the government of good governance. In a newspaper report today, former opposition leader R. Sambandhan and current leader of the Tamil National Alliance was reported to still being enjoying privileges such as a luxury residence in Colombo 7, for which a sum of 35 million rupees was spent on renovation in 2017, 5 workers for maintenance, 2 vehicles and a fuel allowance that was granted during the previous regime. In a press conference held today, parliamentarian Palitha Range Bandara was questioned by reporters based on the ex-opposition leader's continued eligibility for such privileges.
ඒ රටේ අවශ්‍යතාවය යුගයේ අවශ්‍යතාවය අනුව කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අවස්ථානුකූලව වැරදි නම් කරන්න යන්නේ. ඒතර රටේ ජනාධිපති මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයත් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයත් දෙපාර්ශ්වයම එකට එකතු වෙලා ආණ්ඩු කරුවා. ඉතින් ආණ්ඩුවේ පාර්ශ්ව සියල්ලම ඒක එකඟතාවය පළ කරලා තියෙන්නේ රටේ තිබුණ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් අනුව. සංහිඳියාව අපට අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි.
මේ රටේ අවශ්‍යතාවය කියලා ඕන පුජ්‍යලක කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවක් දාලා වාහන නිලවාහන නිවාස
එතුමා ඇවිල්ලා යම් ජනතා කණ්ඩායමක් නියෝජනය කරන කණ්ඩායමක නායකයෙක්. ඒකෙදි අතිවිශාල ප්‍රදේශයක් අතිවිශාල ජනතාවක් එතුමා නියෝජනය කරනවා. එතකොට රටේ අනිත් ජනතාවගේ අවශ්‍යතාවත් ඉෂ්ට කිරීම පවත්න රජයක වගකීමක් වෙනවා. ඒ වගකීම තමයි ඉෂ්ට කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In your business news, a broad gauge of Asian share markets rose to an 18-month high today as Chinese equities gained while oil touched 3-month highs on a combination of US crude inventory drawdowns, trade optimism and unrest in the Middle East. Chinese blue chips, which had started the day lower, were up to 1.13% in afternoon trade, bolstered by a report that 2019 retail sales are forecast to rise 8%, and expectations that a new benchmark for floating rate loans could lower borrowing costs and boost flagging economic growth. Japan's Nikkei stock index finished its last trading day of the year down 0.76%, and the index gained 18.2% in 2019 after dropping 12.8% last year. Apart from stocks, oil also gained last Friday, with prices posting their fourth consecutive weekly gain to steady around their highest in 3 months. The global benchmark Brent crude was up 0.31% to $68.37 per barrel today, while US West Texas Intermediate crude added 0.13% to $61.80, reversing an earlier decline. Oil prices were also supported by a bigger than expected decline in crude inventories in the United States, the world's biggest fuel consumer. Gold also continued its run-up, boosted by a weak dollar after posting its best week in more than 4 months on Friday amid thin trading volumes. The precious metal today rose 0.3% to $1,515 per ounce in the spot market. Now, the central bank announced that it intends to punish 8 banks for failing to meet the price ceiling set for loans. The Monetary Authority announced the CBSL intends to take appropriate measures in relation to these banks, as well as those licensed banks that have not met with other provisions of the order, to ensure that the general public continues to benefit from an efficient transmission of recent policy decisions through the financial system. In 2018, the central bank injected liquidity to generate another balance of payments crisis and was forced to hike rates immediately after recovering from an earlier crisis to prevent a currency meltdown. High nominal interest rates tend to haunt countries that depreciate currencies due to dual anchor conflicts that target an exchange rate to collect reserves while printing currency to control rates. Analysts have called for reforms to the central bank to prevent such dual anchor conflicts and maintain consistency, as countries in the Middle East, China and Hong Kong and Singapore have done. The central bank's price controls will stay in effect till March 2020. However, deposit controls have been removed. Sri Lankan stocks closed 0.54% stronger today, continuing a 4-day rally backed by LOLC Holdings. The main all-share price index closed 33.36 points, up at a daily high of 6,156. The S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks closed 0.12% or 3.66 points down at 2,968.43. Market turnover was 903.4 million rupees, while 42 stocks gained and 94 fell. LOLC Holdings contributed most to the ASPI gain, closing 33.30 rupees, up at 179 rupees a share.
Secondary market yield curve witnessed a slight downward shift, mainly in the mid-tenor maturities, while overall market witnessed limited activities with thin volumes. In the equity market, the bourse concluded the day on a mixed note despite the significant movement in the all-share price index. This movement was mainly seen on the price gains made in LOLC and CLC. However, the S&P Sri Lanka 20 recorded a decline of nearly 14 points, mainly due to price losses recorded in Dialogue and Distilleries. Amidst low foreign participation, foreigners continue to be net sellers for the 4th consecutive day. Heavy retail trading was noted in LOLC and Brown Investments amidst the speculation in the counters.
The Sri Lankan rupee ended weaker at 181 rupees and 65 to 75 cents to the US dollar in the spot market today. The rupee closed at 181 rupees and 45 to 55 cents to greenback on Friday. Let's now have a look on how Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies in the market today. We'll be back after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In your international news, the Chinese government has sentenced a scientist at the Southern University of Science and Technology in Shenzhen to 3 years in jail for conducting illegal experiments on human embryos. The scientist He Jiankui claimed to have created the world's first gene-edited babies last year following the birth of twins named Lola and Nana. He claimed to have carried out gene editing on the twin embryos, at the time targeting a gene called CCR5 in order to give the embryos resistance to the HIV virus. The court said that he and 2 others who were handed lesser sentences acted in the pursuit of fame and gain and had seriously disrupted medical order. The Chinese Academy of Sciences released a statement condemning he saying that it firmly opposes gene editing on humans. The statement added that under current circumstances, gene editing on human embryos still involves various unresolved issues, might lead to unforeseen risks, and violates the consensus of the international scientific community. Research later showed that his illegal gene editing experiments may have given the babies a mutation that could significantly shorten their life expectancy. North Korea's state-run television today aired still photographs of its leader Kim Jong-un holding a second-day session of a ruling party meeting on Sunday. Kim convened a weekend meeting of top Workers' Party officials to discuss policy matters amid rising tensions over his deadline for Washington to soften its stance in stalled negotiations aimed at dismantling Pyongyang's nuclear and conventional missile programs. At yesterday's session, Kim suggested action in the areas of foreign affairs, the munitions industry and armed forces, stressing the need to take positive and offensive measures for fully ensuring the sovereignty and security of the country, KRT said without elaborating. Kim also discussed state management and economic issues, it said, as the country's economy has been hit by international sanctions over its weapons programs. He presented the tasks for urgently correcting the grave situation of the major industrial sectors of the national economy, KRT added. The Spanish Coast Guard picked up a boat carrying 52 African migrants in the Atlantic Ocean yesterday and transported them to a port on the island of Gran Canaria, Spain. The migrants were all men and some could have been minors, according to the Red Cross. Thousands of migrants from Africa and the Middle East embark on the perilous journey by sea every year, hoping to make it to Europe. Spain's Ministry of Interior reported that as of 15th December, a total of 24,796 irregular migrants had arrived in Spain by sea. The report said Spain had a 50% decrease of irregular migrant arrivals, but the route through the Canary Islands has been increasing, with 115 boats arriving over the last few weeks. The US military carried out airstrikes yesterday against the Iranian-backed Kataib Hezbollah militia group in response to the killing of a US civilian contractor in a rocket attack on an Iraqi military base, officials said. A top Iraqi militia leader warned of a strong response against US forces in Iraq following the airstrikes in Iraq and Syria overnight that hit several bases of his Iranian-backed group and killed at least 25 people. Video showed the aftermath of a strike airstrike on the Kataib Hezbollah militia group headquarters in the Iraqi town of Qaim today. Tensions have heightened between Tehran and Washington, Iraq's two main allies, since last year when President Donald Trump pulled the United States out of Tehran's 2015 nuclear deal with 6 power and reimposed sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. The airstrikes come at a troubled time of protest in Iraq, with thousands taking to the streets to condemn, among other things, militia such as Kataib Hezbollah and their Iranian backers. In your sports news, Cristiano Ronaldo once again claimed the Best Player award for the 4th consecutive time in the Globe Soccer Awards held at Dubai. Meanwhile, the Club World Cup champions Liverpool were named as the Best Football Club of the Year in the star-studded award ceremony.
Award of the evening. Our thanks to his
At the Globe Soccer Awards held in Dubai yesterday, Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo was named Dubai Globe Soccer's Men's Player of the Year.
In no small part to his 39 goals scored. Ladies and gentlemen, your Player of the Year Globe Soccer Awards is Cristiano Ronaldo.
This amazing award, and I hope to be here next year again, of course.
In addition, Lucy Bronze of England was named the Women's Player of the Year.
She now boasts 2 UEFA Champions League titles, has been voted the PFA Women's Player of the Year twice, and was voted this year's UEFA Women's Player of the Year.
I truly am grateful and so proud to even have been nominated, let alone to have won.
The Coach of the Year award went to Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp after he led his side to the 2018-19 UEFA Champions League title. Liverpool was showered with awards as it also won the Best Club of the Year, with its goalkeeper Alisson Becker named the Best Goalkeeper of the Year. In the regional award, Morocco's Abdelrazak Hamdallah took home the award for the Best Arab Player.
For his country. Having got his first cap for the Moroccan national team back in 2012, this year he decided to retire from international duties. Congratulations to Abdelrazak Hamdallah.
Now, the organizers of the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics are being forced to take emergency countermeasures after discovering asbestos on the roof of the Tokyo Tatsumi International Swimming Center, the proposed venue for the Olympic water polo events to be held next year. Alarmingly, asbestos was detected 2 years ago, but officials decided against treatment action. At the time, asbestos, which is used mainly in fireproofing and insulation, has been linked to serious health hazards, including many types of cancer. While Japanese construction industry regulations state asbestos should be removed or covered up, the Tokyo government deemed the amount not to be large in scale, in a stable condition and not accessible to decided to leave it when discovered 2 years ago. The new detection is the latest headache for Tokyo 2020 organizers, who have faced concerns over elevated levels of bacteria in the water in Tokyo Bay and how athletes will cope with sweltering summer heat, which has led the marathon event to be moved to the far northern city of Sapporo. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando. Good night.